Hi, I'm Sensei Steve here at Classical Martial Arts Long Island. Come on in, I'd love to let you see the dojo. This is the front end of our dojo here, our training facility. We call it both the dojo as well as wuguan, which dojo is the Japanese term and wuguan is the Chinese term. But here I want to give you a tour, let you see everything here, and talk to you about Classical Martial Arts of Long Island. So here, as we come in, this big painting over here is a famous Japanese wood block. This is known as the Wave of Kanagaya. It's a famous painting, and you see the sailors coming, and they're facing this great wave, and really speaks to us about how we have to balance ourselves against big forces in the world and try to navigate that. It's kind of a lesson that we can teach in the martial arts. Then here is General Guan. This is General Guan. He's a Chinese general, 1800 years ago, very famous general, and he's the patron of martial arts, protector of children, and of entrepreneurs. And he sits here in the front as a symbol. He's our school symbol, as someone we try to aspire to be like, someone who's a powerful, strong individual, but can be strong enough to care for the weakest members of society. Then above is a little bonsai tree. A little bonsai tree that sits there as a symbol that's supposed to be representing both growth and cultivation, because the bonsai tree has to be cultivated. It's actually a little bush, but it's called a tree, and it's cultivated. In its natural state, it just looks like a little stinky bush, but it's trimmed and cut and cultivated and nourished, and thereby comes to represent a tree, and that represents how we perfect ourselves in the martial arts. Okay? Then here we have this wall hanging, and this represents a year in the city of Kangho. And it has all the seasons all around with a big festival in the center, representing prosperity, representing our training that goes through the whole year and never stops, how we're always trying to get better. And then as we turn to this side, we have a red dragon. This is the dragon of the East. He's a golden red dragon. He represents the sun. And the studies known as feng shui, where we try to match our decorations to the world, that's the eastern side of our building. And he represents the rising sun, that force that comes up that makes us wake up every day and be positive and be productive. Okay? And then here we have built-in shelves. These are things, many of them came from around the world as I traveled the world and trained in different martial arts and studied different things. Some of them have come from different students, and some of them actually are awards that we've won. But here we have Japanese samurai from Japan. We have a Thai warrior fighting a demon. We have a Chinese terracotta warrior. We have the Korean general Yi Sun-shin, again another Japanese warrior. We have a celadon vase from Korea. We have a vase that's from China. And we have here, well, that was a gift from a student who used to call me Dr. Judo. And then up top, we have 3 ceremonial swords that we won as Best School Award in a competition that we went to last year. And then a big trophy that comes from when we went to the Mega Weekend in Atlantic City and won that trophy. One of us, well, I did, won that as a grand champion winner. And you see a lot of wood. Well, we're not building a patio here, but we are part of the International Breaking Federation, and we do a lot of board breaking. So this is all supplies that we're going to use as we train to break those boards and practice. And actually, our school holds 12 world records in the International Breaking Federation in different categories of breaking boards. And so if you like breaking boards, well, and who doesn't like breaking things, right? We practice that stuff too. Then built into the wall here is this, we call it a gate. It's actually a symbolic gate that goes here. And that's what's called a spirit gate. That's a torii or a spirit gate, and it separates the regular world where you have your regular concerns from the world where you practice to make yourself a better person. So when we walk through this, it helps change our mindset, our consciousness. So we say, okay, everything we do in the world is really important. Here we're going to work on ourselves. We're going to carry those lessons of the martial arts back with ourselves into the regular world. Then, once you come through the spirit gate, come on in. We've got here all sorts of things, different trophies, different plaques, different things from tournaments we've gone to. We have a lot more. These are just for display. And also we have some of our things for our school symbol, sweatshirts and uniforms and such. But this school symbol, which is called the Xiantian Taiji Tu, right? It's called the pre-heaven Taiji symbol. It's actually 4,000 years old. It has many meanings, but the most basic meaning is it's got a white dot in the middle. That's your clarity of mind. It's got red and gold. That's yin and yang, meaning balance. And it's got the 8 trigrams, which are known as symbols of the world. Heaven, earth, fire, and water. Lightning, wind, marsh, and mountain. the 8 forces that are seen to make up the world around you. So the basic meaning is that you can only balance in the world if you balance yourself in your mind. And that's one of the lessons of the martial arts, trying to find your balance, trying to find your understanding of how you can perfect yourself against time and gravity, and how you could protect yourself against other people, to be a balanced person in the world. And then, of course, it says Classical Martial Arts of Long Island, our school name, and it says it down here. This can be read in Chinese, as they would say Gudao Jiguan in Chinese, or in Japanese as Kodo Chikan. So we can read it in both formats, and we have a Japanese warrior and a Chinese warrior because we teach both Japanese and Chinese methods. Right? So if we keep going, here we also have Mount Fuji. Right? And this was actually, my son made that way back when he was in high school, and it hangs here. It's stained glass, but it represents, like Mount Fuji represents to the Japanese, this high spiritual peak that we're trying to climb up to be higher and more balanced people. And that's also why the color scheme is green is the regular green part of the world, the grass and such, the beautiful blue sky, but red as we come up, because red is representative in East Asian thought of spirit, of fire and spirit that rises up. So there's our Mount Fuji right there. All right, and then we're gonna go right into the center. Oh, before we leave here, there's the dragon. This is the year of the dragon, the year of the Yang wood dragon, who's green. There's our little green dragon, who at this point, he's still kind of small because the Lunar New Year just started. Maybe he's gonna grow. So, and as we come in here, the center of the school right here, we have the 4 seasons around us, okay? So we start here, we have spring, summer, autumn, winter, surrounding us here in the very center of our dojo, representing the balance of what goes on with the changes of the 4 seasons. Again, that's an idea they call feng shui, which is how you balance the space in the world. Well, right here, we come to the 7 virtues of Bushido, which is a Japanese term for the way of the warrior. But interestingly enough, these ideas actually are related back to the writings of Confucius. And these are the 7 virtues of what we train for: honor, respect, integrity, courage, honesty, loyalty, and compassion. These 7 things, these 7 virtues. So every time we leave the training floor, we face this space balanced in the seasons, meaning a spot that for every season of the year, we're able to face these virtues and become a more virtuous person. That's the reason we train. That's the idea of classical martial arts, meaning they're martial, they can fight, but part of it's to train you to be a better person, really get those values. Modern technology, modern society is based on making more things. That's wonderful, right? We've got more computers, we've got more science, we've got more things than we've ever had before. That really, medicine has advanced, many things have advanced, technology has made the world a smaller place. We can fly all over the place and be connected. But the technology doesn't intrinsically make us a better person. Traditional society was focused always on make a better person. So a lot of the traditional training is to improve the individual, more ethical, right? More moral, more strong, more secure, more balanced, better choices. Put together the technology of the present day with the virtues and such of the classical period, and you get the meeting ground of both and the best of both worlds. Okay? All right, so now we're going to go to the training floor. On the other side here, we've got on the training floor. We're going to kick off our shoes as we always do before we go on the training floor and jump on there. And as we come in, we always bow. And the bow, why do we bow? A couple of reasons. One, we're going to learn a bunch of things on this mat. So we say, okay. And just like we went through that spirit gate to try to understand things, so when we bow, it's a shift by the body to shift the mind. To say, okay, now I'm going to concentrate, I'm going to learn, what am I paying attention to? Also, right now, I'm giving you a tour. Nobody's here yet for class. When they are, people are jumping around. They're moving back and forth. Someone's throwing somebody else. Someone's punching someone else. We're swinging around traditional weapons. Just like crossing the street, you stop for a second, look both ways. When you enter the mat, you bow. You make sure you're not going to accidentally be right in the way of something going on. It's kind of good advice in general. Whenever you go somewhere new, stop for a second, check it out. That we train into ourselves. That's the first lesson of self-defense, awareness, right? See what's going on. Okay, so come on in. We're going to go and take a look at this. So here's our mat space. And in the mat space, the mat itself, this is what we call a 2-inch thick tatami mat. It's made by Zebra Corporation, one of the best companies in the world that makes mats. And this is a piece out of the mat. This is what it looks like inside, right? This piece out of the mat here has this corrugated surface called the tatami surface, and you can see how thick it is. It's 2-inch thick. Thickest mat we could get. Why? Because no matter how tough you are, you gotta land. And coming down over someone's shoulder, coming down, learning how to roll, learning how to relate to the floor, how to fall, you want the safest piece of protective equipment we can get. This is the biggest piece of protection we have, and it keeps everybody safe. And because, now in the modern day, 21st century, we got to clean it. We clean it with something called Cavicide, which is what you clean the hospital beds with. So every day we scrub it down. That way we're protected not only from falling, we're protected from germs and whatever could try to hide on the mat, we get it every day. Okay? So that's the mat, the piece of mat there. Then, as we come along, we've got all this training equipment that sits on the wall, things to hit, things to work with, and then we're going to come all the way down here and see there's another spirit gate right here built into the wall. That spirit gate built into the wall has our school symbol in the middle again. We already talked about the symbol, but here, the spirit gate with the idea we're training here, and that's what we aspire to, another gate to go through, to be this balanced person in the world with a clear mind. And 3 little steps. Why? They represent something. Symbol. The lowest step is you when you start. The middle step is you as you work to perfect yourself. The top step is who you could become. You could become this idea. Clear-minded, balanced in the world, operating at your utmost. And then we have 2 scrolls. They represent as 2 scrolls. We have one, the Chinese warrior. Right? The Chinese warrior is painted in a way, this is watercolor painting. He's very flowing, right? This of course is a reproduction of a Chinese painting. And here he's very flowing and fluid and moving. And then it's edged so that it looks like a scroll. The Chinese styles are very fluid and moving back and forth. Right? And in their mobility and their dynamic, no movement ever completely stops. One flows to another one. That's one way to move. And in our Chinese curriculum, we teach to move in that format. We do teach weapons and self-defense and sparring, as well as forms and different 2-person exercises. So in the Chinese curriculum, there's all those elements to bring out your best in you. Okay? Then over here is a Japanese warrior. Now a Japanese warrior, the original is done in a charcoal format, and here he's done, it's a reproduction, but he's very strict. All the lines much more direct and much more exact than the Chinese warrior, and he's holding the sword, right? Very straight sword. So he represents the Japanese traditions that are very strict in their motions, very linear, very strict, very exacting. Well, we still do in our Japanese curriculum self-defense, as well as we do forms and weapons, and we do aspects of grappling and takedowns, and all those parts, whether in the Chinese curriculum or Japanese curriculum, are there, but the way we move is different, derived from the different areas and traditions they come from. And this one, we had to fix the wall here, so he hasn't gotten the bottom part of the scroll put back on there. But a lot of things always keep getting improved around here, and so we had to fix that wall, and then this will look just like the other one. Then, as we finish our tour, we're almost done, we have our general again, General Guan, right? Representing that he watches over the whole place and sees what we're training, and also what we aspire to. We aspire through our training to be that person who is masterful, is a general, a commander of yourself, to be the best version that you could be, and always aspiring higher and higher. Then here's a sword. This is a wooden sword. Not a live sword, but a wooden sword. But we have a sword in the corner because a sword represents your mind. So a sword could cut through something, but a sword could cut you if you're not careful with it. Well, we feel that's what your mind is like. Your mind can cut through a problem, and your mind can mess you up. So we train, just like we train to handle a sword, we train to handle our mind, because your mind is the weapon that's always with you. It has to solve problems every day and in every way. Okay. Well, we're almost done with the tour. As we come along, there's all sorts of training equipment that we have stacked up here, right, that we pull out every time when we do class. We pull out the different things, right? We have a tire. You say, there's a tire? Yeah, there's a tire over here. The tire is used when we do sword class, and we actually pull it out and hit it with a wooden sword to practice. We have pads against the wall. We have our heavy bag that can come out. We have different types of grappling tools. This is a grappling dummy, right, who You can sit down, you can put an arm bar on this one, he never complains, always ready to train. We've got a couple of them, a couple of those different grappling dummies of different sizes and weights for every different type of person, right? That way you don't always have to take the fall. You can work with a grappling dummy who will take the fall and never complain, right? And all sorts of other tools. Then here, as we wrap up our tour, one of my students made this for us. It says in Chinese, Ping An Churu, peace to all who come and go. That hangs in traditional schools. And what that means is that we train on the mat. The old saying is you want to be a person of peace who could, if necessary, fight like 10 tigers. But you want to be a person of peace. So that's the idea. Peace to everyone who comes and goes. We want to train for that and perfect ourselves. And my cool looking clock. The clock that's got the characters around it and the hands. And you don't have to know those numbers to be able to read that clock if you can read the hands on the clock. Well, maybe I'm a little bit on the mat for a couple of years because I can still read those hands on the clock. And many of the little ones who come to train with us, they have a hard time reading the hands on the clock more than the numbers. So sometimes that's part of our education too, how to read old stuff. Because looking at the old, which is the classical methods, we want to preserve the wisdom of the old period and meet it together with the wonder of the new. So that's classical martial arts. So that's the tour of the dojo. Hope you liked it and hope to see you on the mat.